Hello there YouTubers, this is 1995 Express. Well, it's the beginning of October and I decided that now would be a good time for me to answer all the questions for the questions and answers video. Let's see how many questions were asked. Okay, obviously I need to let more YouTubers know about what I'm posting onto YouTube. But aside from that, I think I have enough questions that I can answer to make this a good question and answers video. Okay, let's start off. First up we have Dom the Hornby fan 97, and his first question is, how I got inspired to create the Magic Railroad Adventures. Well, I got inspired by the Diesel 10 page of the Real Lives of Thomas and the Tank Engine site. There was a note that said that the addition of Pinchy was an illegal modification. I thought to myself, how would Diesel 10 get a claw like that? From that stemmed a storyline which explained how Lady got wrecked and how Diesel 10 became, well, Diesel 10. This was back in 2009, after the time I first got my YouTube account and uploaded my first video, which was the Mad Bomber contest video. Originally, the Magic Road Adventures was titled The Magic Road Untold. Diesel 10 and Lady's first confrontation was the first episode in the series. Bernard Stone's childhood would have been told in flashback format in later episodes, and the prologue wasn't even thought of. Eventually, the title of the series was changed to The Magic Road Adventures, cause it sounds better, and Bernard Stone's childhood episodes were placed before Lady's accident and Diesel 10's rise in the storytelling format, because why not? It makes more sense. The prologue was eventually written down after I found out about the actual Indian Valley Railway which existed from the 1910s to the 1930s. So I decided to have the history of the line involved as well, so I combined the history of the IVR in real life with the IVR in the world of Shining Time. I knew that I also had to explain the magic elements in Lady's past. For example, why is she magical? When was she built? What has she done before she met Diesel? What was vital was explaining why she can only run on special coal and not on any other coal. Then this idea came into my mind. All elements expand out of the center of the universe ever since the Big Bang, so why not magic? So magic in the form of Magigen in the meteorite form came out of the center of the universe and collided with Earth, creating two separate dimensions, the dimension we live in and the dimension where Shining Time and Sodor exist in. Sort of a parallel universe scenario, if you know what I mean. I then remembered Thomas saying in the Magic Road movie that he was going to collect Island of Sodor coal. So I decided to make that an actual coal, and that specific coal would have been doused in the Magigen substance, and using that coal for Lady during the very first time that they lit her fire in her, and that made her the first ever talking train and the only magical engine yet. The rest is history. To see the prologue, here's the link. Okay, the next question is, favorite Thomas characters. I have a number of Thomas characters that I like, but for the ones I like most, they are starting from the classic series onwards. The first one that comes to mind is Thomas. As with thousands of fans, Thomas is the first ever engine I saw in his debut episode, Thomas and Gordon, or as they call it in America, Thomas Gets Tricked. And I liked him. I think he and I share some similar character qualities. We both work hard, we both like our friends. The only difference I can think of is that he's an engine and I'm a kid, and that his favorite color patterns are blue and red, while mine is red and blue. If you can understand that. I also work hard without fuss for most of the time, but that's more of a trait that I share more with Duck. I also like Percy, particularly in Season 1. He's like the cute younger brother that you just want to pinch his cheeks and can't leave alone. I feel Percy is perfectly portrayed in Season 1. There's also Toby. He's a humble sort of engine, very experienced, and what he doesn't know isn't worth knowing. Initially, I liked Emily when she first appeared in Season 7, but after that, she just doesn't interest me. In Season 7, she's kind, gentle, and caring, looks out for other engines, and is quick to apologize for any mistakes she makes. But from Season 8 onwards, she gets this bossy, fussy, impatient, think highly of herself characteristics. And she also replaces Duck as number 8 in the Steam Team. She really became more like a bratty child. In fact, I'm glad I saw Duck in the Slip Coaches because that's poetic justice performed there.
Serves you right.
But to be fair, I do prefer Emily in Season 7. In fact, the characters in the classic series from Season 1 to 7 have their best portrayals. Let's say that I like Season 7 Emily and not the Season 8 onwards Emily. Salty's another favorite of mine. I just like the idea of an engine having the personality of an old lively sea captain who's traveled the world and just has so many stories to tell. I also like Stepney the Bluebell engine. He's so chipper and enthusiastic and works hard and means well. I particularly like how Alec Baldwin portrayed him in Season 5.
Are these my cars? The more the merrier. Mavis was right. Suddenly everything does look spooky. There's no place like home. Bluebells forever.
There's not too many characters that I like from the new season. Probably the one I like most is Rosie. She's so bubbly and sweet, ready to do any job. I wish she could feature in more starring roles nowadays. If they used her as a main character, she could improve a lot of stories somewhat. What I don't really like is how her design differs from her original bases. She looks too basic and toy-like compared to a real S100 Yankee Tanky. And come on, what's with the paintwork? No engine's ever been painted pink. Remember the last time a truck's been painted pink? I also like Stanley. He's a nice, cheerful, hard-working engine. Definitely would be friends with a kid who shares his personality. I particularly like him in The Great Discovery. I feel Pierce Brosnan gave the character so much personality. I wish Stanley was used more often as well. One thing I have to complain about, though, is his silver smoke box. Why is it silver? It makes his face look so pale. From the CGI Miller series, there's even less characters that I like, because those stories are the worst. The engines are all portrayed horribly. The only character I like from that era would have to be Luke. My grandfather actually drove the engine that Luke is based on, Peter Pan. So Luke holds a spot in my heart. Not a big one, but still one to note. From the CGI Brenner series, however, there's a lot of new cast of characters that are so enjoyable and actually serve a purpose. My favorites in particular are Stephen and the Earl. Both are humorous characters, and Stephen is just so funny. I especially cracked up when he said that he never saw any dinosaurs. Take that, Barney! Next question. What brand is Lady? Lady was made by Bandai for the Thomas Engine Collection series, TEX for short, sold exclusively in Japan. I managed to get 2 of these models from eBay as they are hard to find nowadays. The first one I used for the prologue, the second one I got to replace the cylinders of the first model, which I thought were lost. Funny thing is that the wheelbase of the Bandai Lady is just wide enough to accommodate HO00 scale track, but her buffer beam is too narrow to align with those of any 00 scale rolling stock, while the Earl Lady, on the other hand, has a buffer beam wide enough to work with 00 scale trains, but the wheelbase is too wide. It's wide enough to fit on a wooden railway track. So you get the idea. Okay, the next YouTuber with questions is Richard the Blue Hunslet Engine, and his first question is, will there be a contest with the DeAgostini Diesel 10 as a prize? No. I hold contests that are based on creativity rather than possessions in terms of prizes. I'm more inclined to have contests to see what creative contributions other YouTubers make and picking out the best ones to use in the stories. The unsuccessful MRA Battle Poster contest, for an example. Why unsuccessful? Because I've only seen one entry for that contest, and it doesn't really qualify as a contest due to there being no competition whatsoever. Another reason why I'm not doing a contest with prizes based on possession is that I don't really have enough good prizes to hand out, at least ones that I can think of. Sorry, but I don't think that sort of contest will be coming out anytime soon. Next question. When will episode 2 be out? Technically, it's now episode 1 because I have rebranded the beginning as the prologue of the Legend series, as, well, it's all narration and no dialogue. Plus, it focuses on various time periods unlike any other story in the Magic Road Adventures, in which each plotline focuses on one time period only. Anyway, I know a lot of fans have been waiting for this episode to come out, so why hasn't it? I'll explain. When I first released the prologue back in 2010, I had just started 9th grade, which is sort of a transitional year for going into high school. Around that time, it was relatively easy for me to work on videos. However, as time went on and I went on to 10th and 11th grade, things went downhill. One of my model engines started acting up and wasn't prepared for filming. I still needed to create the human characters that would feature in the episode, and there was literally no time for me to work on either of them. High school is probably the worst time to work on a movie project. There's so much homework passed out to the students that I wasn't able to continue work on episode 1. By 11th grade, I was so worn out and disappointed that I kept falling asleep during classes. It was a really rough time for me. 12th grade was easier for me as I went to a special part-time program which had one-on-one teacher and student classes, so I had less homework. However, work hasn't resumed on the MRA because at my school, the 12th grade has what we call senior projects, a special assignment which involves each student working on their own individual projects for a year or so. Mine involved working on a feature-length movie combining 2D animation with models. Whilst I did make a scene for the presentations, the movie hasn't been entirely completed, and everyone in my school is hoping that I finish it soon. So I've put the MRA on hold for just a little while longer, at least up until this movie is finished. Don't worry, I hope to get the film done by June next year, and when I do, work will resume on the MRA episode 1. Next question. How I Made Lady. Jiminy, this was a while back in 2010. I'll try to recall as much as I can. So, the lady model I have is a Bandai model as I have described earlier. First thing to do was to remove the magnets on the model. So I disassembled the model and removed the back magnet. The front magnet was fixed onto a piece of extruding plastic up on Lady's carriage guard, so my dad sawed that piece off and filed the front to smoothen it. On the back in the cab, on the back of the cab was this black obstruction to hide the mechanism of the back magnet. So my dad cut out that bit of metal out, and again smoothed the locomotive with a file. He also drilled out windows, but damaged the decals during the process. I then painted Lady up mixing acrylic paints to match her own colors precisely. Of course, there were the gaps in her rear buffer beam and roof that needed to be taken care of, so my dad made additional pieces to fit into the gaps, and I painted them up. The little plastic crossheads and cylinder rods were removed and replaced with little metal rods that I found, and my dad put faux crossheads on them. That's pretty much all that I can recall. I plan to make Lady into a fully working HO00 model, combining the Bandai model with the Ertl model, which I have courtesy of Matt3985. The motor and wheelbase will be kit-bashed from those of the Bachmann Dandy Dancer. All I need now is a set of HO00 scale wooden locomotive wheels, not wooden, locomotive, a set of HO00 scale locomotive wheels compatible for her. There you go, next question. Where did I get the De Agostini Diesel 10, and if I get another, will I send it? I got mine off of eBay. Initially, I had got him because I thought his entire arm would be articulated. However, it's only at the joint in the roof and the grappler that's mobile. I'm not thinking of looking for another one anytime soon, but if in the case I do get a proper model for Diesel 10 or Bandai Diesel 10, I will gladly send my De Agostini Diesel 10 to you. By the way, have you ever considered posting a video asking your viewers if they have a De Agostini Diesel 10 they'd like to hand over to you? Next YouTuber is PC Praps, and his first question is, what's my favorite steam whistle? I always liked the whistle used by Great Smoky Mountains Railway 1702 from 1988 to 1998. If I were an engine, I'd use that whistle as my own. Unfortunately, there's not too much information on that particular hooter. There has been one source which says that the whistle is off of a cotton belt engine, but that source dates back in the days when the 1702 worked on the Reeder Railroad, and by watching the film This Property is Condemned, it's obvious that the whistle that I like is not a cotton belt whistle. I have theories about where the whistle could have originated. Looking at this close-up of the whistle, not a clear one, but the best that I have, it seems evident that it's a 6-chimed whistle. I also have a guess that this whistle is from the Lima Locomotive Works because the 765 carries a similar whistle as heard on its New River train excursion in 1993. But I'm not 100% sure. I think that only hostlers who worked on the GSMR for its first 10 years would know the identity of the whistle. So if anyone knows any retired hostlers from the GSMR, ask them about the whistle next time you see them. And make sure you don't get the identity of the post-1999 whistle. Next question. What are my thoughts on the Great Smoky Mountains Railway 1702 restoration? I think it's a thrill to finally see progress starting on 1702's rebuild. She's been rusting on those sidings ever since 2005. It's about time that something good is happening to the steam engine. And for the railway, for that matter. I'm not really certain that the management of the American Heritage Railways is the best for the Great Smoky Mountains Railway. They've not really provided the best attention to the railway. Either they focus too much attention on the Durango and Silverton, or they've been lazy. But seriously, I haven't found the changes done to the Great Smoky Mountains Railway by the American Heritage Railways very appealing. First, they repaint the coach fleet into the livery of Tuscan Red and Rio Grande Gold, which is only appealing to see in the fall time. Then they purchased the Southern Railway 722 in 2003 and put it on a siding to rust ever since. Then they put 1702 onto a siding to rust for about 14 years or so. And now they've painted the diesel engines in their own individual colors. I don't mind variety, but I don't like the fact that now 777 looks like it's from the Burlington Northern and the 711 from the Norfolk Southern. These are passenger trains that you're hauling about. At least have the diesels look appropriate for that kind of duty. Plus, there's been all these arrangements in the past for 1702 to be restored. that have not really been successful, largely because of people who are either only interested in money, people who are lazy, or people who have no idea what they're doing. No offense, Alan Harper, but if you want your company to live up to its title, you've done enough for the Durango and Silverton. Bring back some heritage to the Great Smoky Mountains Railway. 1702 was the first engine owned by Great Smoky Mountains Railway, and the 722 once upon a time worked on the Murphy branch. Heck, 1702 is on the logo of the railway! People are expecting to see a steam engine running on the line! Maybe I'm being a little rash, but it's just my opinion spilling out. However, whatever the American Heritage Railway's done wrong to the Great Smoky Mountains Railway, it does eventually make up for it. The coaches have been repainted into a primary color of Tuscan red, which is very reminiscent of the Norfolk and Western trains of the past. And there's also 1702's restoration. At least now American Heritage Railways has made a deal with people who know what they're doing in terms of railway heritage. But I digress. I'm really glad to see 1702 get restored, because I've known 1702 for as long as I've known Thomas, so it really is a special engine for me. If you'd like to see the progress done for 1702, check out its special blog, Compliments of the Great Smoky Mountains Railway. Next question. Favorite steam locomotives? Well, let me see. In terms of American locomotives, Great Smoky Mountains Railway 1702 is on the top of my list. I also like Grand Canyon Railway's 4960, San Luis and Rio Grande 18, Central Pacific Jupiter and Union Pacific 119, Western and Atlantic Railroad's General and Texas, Southern Pacific's 4449, Union Pacific's 844, Norfolk and Western 611, Sugarcane Trains Anaca, the Central Pacific Huntington, Strasburg's 475, Tennessee Valley 610, and Chesapeake and Ohio's 614. For British engines, I like Flying Scotsman, Stepney, Wilbur, Peter Pan, the Stirling Single, Lady of the Isles, Talleyrand, Dalgach, Prince, and the Nene Valley Railway's Thomas. Isn't it just nice for engines to have names rather than their numbers? Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with numbers, but it's just nicer to say names of engines. I wish America would have done that more often. Anyway, next question. Will the Magic Road Adventures need voice actors? Possibly in future episodes, but for now I have voice actors already filled out for episode 1. I just need to get the task of getting their lines to the actors and having them record their lines done. Next question. Favorite steam whistle? Just answered that. Next. 4449 or 611? Definitely 4449. While 611 is nice, elegant, and a more technologically advanced engine by a few years, 4449 holds more of an emotional feeling for me than 611 does. 4449 reminds me of a girl in my class that I liked, but sadly left before high school. I think you can get the gist from that. Next questions are from Dr. Trek Warsman 55. Who is your favorite YouTuber? Well, I don't really have a specific favorite. I like a lot of YouTubers, but I don't have a favorite. I liked Leo Kim Video for a while. He was one of the earliest YouTubers that I've known, and that was back in the days when he was still making the Mad Bomber videos and showing how he made special effects, past projects, etc. However, I do have to admit that my interest in his channel has declined ever since he stopped uploading those videos and started uploading toy reviews. Leo, you were great in your time, but I don't find much interest in toy reviews. Pretty Rosie 1995 is another channel I like. While her videos only pop up once in a while, she is very talented with the story she writes and her voice character impersonations. Though there is something about the 1995 in her channel name that I find familiar. Nah! Simirski and Chris Eden Green are two other channels that I like. Their respective series are a great watch, and both are going on to bring their project to a wider audience. Sudrian Afro is another channel that I like, and if you know him, you'll know why I do. He makes the best recreation of the classic Thomas themes that I've heard on YouTube. Enterprising Engine 93 and Diesel D199 I've only recently subscribed to. Both of their series are very creative and well thought out and portrayed. With Enterprising Engine 93, it's his creative storylines that wrap itself around the world of Thomas and shows ingenious elements that you wouldn't find in any other series. For Diesel D199, it's the humorous twist that he takes with his stories and characters. Next questions. Do I like video games, and if so, which is my favorite? I do like video games, but I'm behind in the times, having only played with the Nintendo 64 console and the Nintendo GameCube console. Because of this, you might find the video games that I like to be a bit dated. I like Super Mario 64 because it's a classic. Who could forget a game like that? I also like Star Fox 64, known in Europe as Lylat Wars. To me, it's the best sci-fi galactic starship fighter game out there. One gem that I like is Jet Force Gemini, made by Rare, and what a rare game it is. This game was only released for Nintendo 64, but the settings and music are created brilliantly. I wish they would have developed this game into a series. The video game world would use a series like this. I also remember games like Diddy Kong Racing and Mario Kart 64. Blimey, those bring back a lot of memories. Unfortunately, the Nintendo 64 console I had broke down, so my mom bought me a GameCube. I only have a small handful of games for that system. Most of the games that I like are because of the designs in the characters, settings, and locations, and the music. These include The Hobbit, Star Fox Adventures, and Spyro Enter the Dragon. Mario Kart Double Dash I like, but my brother plays with it more often. Next question. Which model trains do I have in my collection? Wow. That's a big answer to fill out. I'll try to remember all that I have. Let me see. A Hornby Thomas, Bachmann Percy, Bachmann Salty, a Triang 101 DMU, a Hornby J94, a Hornby T9, 2 Pannier tanks from Bachmann, 2 Bachmann troublesome trucks, 2 Bachmann 6-ton wagons, 2 Hornby wagons, a Bachmann coke wagon, a Bachmann tank car, a Bachmann ventilated van, several Trian brake vans, 2 model power coaches, 1 model power tank car, 2 Atlas coaches, 2 ratio coach kits of Northland's Caboose, a Fleischmann coach, an Athearn Union Pacific Northern, a Bachmann Freedom Train, a Bachmann DeWitt Clinton, a Mantua General, a Bachmann Henrietta, a Bachmann Railroad 040, a Bachmann Flatbed, a Mantua Cattle Car, and a Mantua Bobber Caboose. That was a lot to remember. Don't ask me any more questions like that, okay? Oh, Jiminy Christmas! What kind of Thomas merchandising do I have, like Ertl and Wooden, etc.? Well, you already know the Hornby and Bachmann products that I have. I also have a few models of Ertl, a small amount of Takelon, and a huge collection of wooden railway system trains, which I've stopped collecting a while back in favor of AHO00 trains. Please, don't ask me which models I have in each range, cause that would take too long for me to count.